Hello all, and thank you for watching. This is Roselle, Strike of the Jedi Order. I'm your current Guardian PvE Master, and today I just wanted to go over a few things with the Vigilance spec, and also a little bit about the new rotation that we have here in 3.0. All things being said though, this actually isn't too different from the original rotation that we had before 3.0. But I'm going to go over it anyway, just so you have an idea of what we're looking at, and give you an idea of what kind of numbers you should be looking for as you continue through the game. So let's go ahead and start with my stats on my character. We'll look here. I don't have too much strength or endurance or pretty much anything right now. I don't have a lot of gear yet. But that being said, you can still put out a decent amount of numbers with having the basic 186, 180 gear that you're going to get through questing and basic comms. I really don't have too much in here that's actually above that. I do have one little cool set bonus in here that does make my Master Strike more strong. That, though, is going to go away in the future here because the new set bonuses are a little bit more important compared to what we're seeing now. Nonetheless, move on from there. Remember a couple things. Accuracy. You should have your melee accuracy at 100%. Critical chance. You want to have this around like 23 to 25%, give or take. Your force one's going to be a little bit, tiny bit higher. Crit multiplier, we want to try and have that at about 70%, give or take. After that, you want to have lots and lots and lots of power. Making sure your main hand hilt, that is the one thing you want to try and build up as quickly as possible. If you can get like the 186 hilts, which, just so you know, I can make them if you need them. I'll gladly do them for free. They're really, really cheap to make. Or you can, of course, find them on the GTN if you don't want to ask me for whatever reason and you don't want something for free. But, moving on here. The rotation, again, very, very similar. A few things that changed. We have our Plasma Brand. This ability activates the cooldown for Master Strike and reduces it to 0 every single time you use this. So you always want to try and use Master Strike just before you use your Plasma Brand. The thing that's really important with the Vigilance Guardian, though, is dots. Dots, dots, dots. Dots are what keep this class really going, with the Master Strike being in the middle. So we want to make sure we have our overhead slash on the target as much as possible, Plasma Brand on the target as much as possible. And when Blade Storm procs so that it has the insta-crit, we want to make sure that is up as much as possible as well because it applies to dot too. Why are dots so important? Well, the reason they're so important is because Vigilant Thrust now goes ahead and basically spreads all of your dots to everything that is affected by it. The more dots you have on your single target, before you do your Vigilant Thrust, the more dots you're going to spread to your other targets as long as it's a burning effect. Good thing to remember. That's also going to lead into our utilities and discipline system. If you look here, I have Second Wind, Battlefield Command, Trailblazer, Purifying Sweep, Guardianship, Daunting Presence, and also Peaceful Focus. I'm going off a PvE build instead of a PvP build, so there would be some things that would change between the two. But this basically gives me the ability to be able to jump around combat a lot. Whenever I jump around combat, I'm going to get my Interrupt basically taken off cooldown for me, along with a longer Saber Reflect. I'm going to have some more AoE damage with Trailblazer and also Purifying Sweep. If you don't know, Purifying Sweep in Vigilance form and Focus form is going to take all of the targets that are affected by it and sunder them, or reduce their armor by 20% for 45 seconds. It's like your Sundering Strike, but for multiple enemies, which is really, really cool. I have this lovely thing here, Guardianship. This is going to allow my Challenging Call, which is also my my de-aggro, or whatever you want to call it, the aggro dump for the Guardian, which isn't too effective in itself, but this is going to provide a shield to everyone else within your raid group. It's really, really cool. It lasts 10 seconds, and it reduces a moderate amount of damage that they're going to be taking. Although it doesn't protect you, it does protect them, so hey, that's really awesome. Plus, the Guardian has so many cooldowns anyway, you'll be able to get through like any kind of massive amount of AoE damage that's going out anyway. Something you want to have in there, healers will love you for it, along with this ability up here, the Peaceful Focus. It's going to remove all cleansable effects whenever your focus defense is activated. And then we have Second Wind. This is going to reduce the ability to be able to do a CC break, really, by 30 seconds, and also heal you for 10% of your maximum health when used. So, another really cool thing to do. Also, a little trick if you want. if you're low on health and you pop Inure and then you pop this, you're actually going to get a little bit more of a boost than that normal 10% because you have the 30% from Inure that's added on to your current health points, and this is going to take 10% of that 30% increased health points and add it to you. So once your Inure goes away, you're going to get more like, what, 15 or 20% or whatever it may be, just depending on your numbers. So really, really cool to do that. But enough of me babbling. I'm going to go through the rotation here real quick. Pay attention. There's going to be a few things that I am going to try and call out to try not completely destroy my numbers. But they're not going to be too high. I'm expecting like anywhere from 29 to 3,300. With this gear, you probably can get anywhere from like 29 to 35, though, if your rotation's really, really good. So here we are. You'll notice all these lovely little flashing lights on the screen. These are the abilities proccing now, something that they also added in 3.0, which is an extremely beneficial thing to have. I don't know if you can hear it, you probably can, but you can hear me button mashing. That actually is a very effective tactic to do in PvE because many times you are going to be stationary, even though there will be moments when you do have to run around and such. But this allows you to be able to reduce the time between your activations. Even if it's by a tiny bit, it really does a huge amount for your DPS. You probably see that I am swapping around a little bit between abilities as I go through my rotation, because the Vigilance Guardian has a priority rotation as pretty much does everything else in the game. So as certain abilities come off cooldown or proc or whatever they may be, I'm going to be using them ahead of what I typically would do in my rotation if they weren't available. Like right there, I just messed up a little bit, but it's all good. Just keep going. If you mess up, just try and forget about it, move on, keep going. You'll notice here also with my Master Strike, I am doing something we like to refer to as clipping. Basically, the last actual damage produced by Master Strike happens at about 0.2 to 0.3 seconds, depending on if you have any alacrity on your Guardian, which you really shouldn't have any alacrity on your Guardian for the most part. But when it does happen, that basically cuts it a little short, gives you a little bit of extra time to be able to go through your GCD and get to your next ability even more quickly. If the GCD is still going, which it probably won't be. As you get below 20%, of course, use your dispatch as you feel free in your rotation. If it doesn't fit, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world, but it does provide a good amount of DPS. And here we come to the end. Typically, a parse is going to be on like the 1 million to 1.5 million ops dummy. I just did it on the 500k ops dummy for the pure point of really just trying to get through it in a somewhat timely manner. That gives you an idea, though, of what you're going to be looking at for DPS. So even with my crappy gear, 3,280 DPS, which it's okay. As you get higher up into the gear, you start to get like your 192s and such like that. You're going to start seeing like 36 to 3,900. The top that I've seen really going around is like 42 to 4,300 DPS. That's very admirable DPS that you should try to be aimed for, at least 4K. That's going to be your, hey, I'm ready for a raid group and doing progression raiding on like hard mode and nightmare stuff, etc., etc., etc. If you have any questions, though, feel free to comment below, post on Facebook, ask me in TeamSpeak. You should see me floating around as Roselle Striker. You can ask on the forums, etc., etc., etc. And also, if you want to, feel free to subscribe to my channel or to the Jedi Order YouTube channel. You'll be able to see my videos there as well in the future. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the game.